was completely out of socket. Every bone in her body was broken. What you see in Hollywood, times that by 5. And that's what my baby looked like. Before the crash happened, we just hung out that morning and everything was very chill until around like 2:30 when we really started getting things together. The windows are down, our music is playing, Cam's got her soft blanket, she's got her binky, she's comfy, and we're driving, and I'm looking down at my phone, not even really paying attention, and I hear Salem go, "Oh crap." I look up and there's traffic. I was like, oh, okay. So it'll give Cam time to nap. So I look back and I'm peeking back at her. She was still awake. So I tickled her little toes and she's very sleepily looked. She was like very much about to fall asleep. And then I turned back around and black. Nothing. The next thing I remember of that day, without being told what happened or like any puzzle pieces being put back together for me, only thing I remember is white, but I can't see any, like my eyes are open and I can't see. And the nurse, I'm like, "Where's Cammy?" And they're like, "I'm sorry, but she's gone." And then my mom comes in. So much had happened in between that time. Like, I blocked out 5 hours of time, and apparently I was coherent the entire time. I was very much in shock. Being in shock, I apparently just kept going back to, where is she? Where's Cammy? And so the EMS worker or first responder was like, "We're working on her. We're working." He knew immediately, like, and seeing the body cam footage now that I obviously haven't been able to get very far into it, but I definitely was awake and coherent, but hearing myself scream what happened and nobody's like around me or saying anything, and I'm literally like looking at her forced open car door. I don't remember that, but Salen unfortunately has the memory of actually going up to the car and seeing her. I don't think my brain would allow me to remember that unless I actually watched it on the body cam, and I don't think any mom should have to see their child like that. Barely even remember the next few days in the hospital. It had caused a lot of strife. Me and Salen ended up taking a break for a little bit. It almost seemed like me and him weren't going to survive that. When you truly love someone and you know that they have good intentions and maybe trauma bond as well, maybe a bit of a trauma bond, if that means that we got a little healthier in the way that we are emotionally towards each other, I think that that's probably the best thing that happened with that. The only good thing that could come from that is at least a little bit of some emotional intelligence. Really, you have to have emotional intelligence without being up on medicine, which I refuse to take, because with something like that, you can't numb yourself. I did very heavily, but you can't numb yourself with medication, like emotion suppressing medications, for me personally. Now, if you have to take medication, that is like your story, you know what I mean? That's completely, if that's what you need. But me personally, I feel like with my situation, being put on medicine or like trying to be put on or some crazy stuff would end up being a hindrance rather than actually helping, and it would just make me not face the facts. I wanted to be more clear-headed because there's a lot of information and a lot of things were hidden from me, and a lot of things are coming out more and more now that I'm more healed and able to like cognitively take that. That's definitely been a struggle. It was October 28th, 2022, and she was 13 days away from turning 2. She'll be 5 this year. She also gained a little sister this year that she met before me, but will never get to meet. And unfortunately, her sister is now doomed to the same fate of having to only remember her sister in an urn or in pictures. And that's not fair. What actually happened was we were in standstill traffic for over 15 seconds. So what I'm going to say in the future obviously is untrue, what he was trying to say. But apparently he told his team and his lawyer that he owes us nothing because that he didn't know where he wanted to get off at. So he swerved into me. and I owe them nothing. So apparently he was very remorseful when it came to law enforcement, but when it comes to the actual family, no. When it comes to saying even a simple "I'm sorry" would honestly have helped. You don't have to do anything. Like I don't want to ruin your life, because honestly, if I went and killed somebody, if I killed a child, I 110% my life would be ruined, but I would throw myself at the mercy of the family. There's nothing that I can do to make it better, but anything. Can I help you fight? Yeah, and is there anything, there's so many things that he could have done. And so, but what actually happened was he was tailgating somebody with witness testimony. He was tailgating them because the guy was following his wife. And so his wife got over, and so Mr. Matthews started tailgating him. He then got over, he's like, he's going to cause a wreck, and then comes right on a wreck. The wife, on body cam, was very, very, very upset, kept screaming at Mr. Matthews, you killed her. I'm asking what happened. No one's really coming and talking to me because I don't think they knew what to tell me. When you hear me talk in it too, you can, it's very slurred, almost as if I had a brain injury, but almost as if I was and I was not driving, Salem was driving, but it just didn't sound like myself. So apparently Mr. Matthews, after speaking to the immediate first responder, the EMS and people get there, and he apparently knows some people in the EMS, and he was trying to cut up with them, trying to make jokes in light of the situation. This is what I was told. That's not shown on body cam. Again, I didn't get very far, but this was told from me, from a first responder who reached out to me through his own volition because he was so touched by what happened and he wanted to make sure that I was okay. Something about her and me and him having to talk to me, and he just retired this year. He's probably seen some crazy things. So the fact that he felt in such a way that he had to reach out, it speaks volumes. It's also shown in the body cam that the first responder, the detective, honestly, we'll get to that later, but the detective, Buford, is useless, but Reynard, I don't actually know, but he threw his hat down and started crying at the very end of his body cam footage, and again speaks volumes to what he was having to see there. That's basically what I know of what happened. Well, her injuries are very graphic. I'll start with mine and his because mine and his injuries aren't as stunning. So Salem, he had a fractured neck, 4 broken ribs, a collapsed lung. He has spinal nerve damage. I believe that's it for him, but you have extensive damage. Once you have a car accident as bad as that, you have other things that end up happening, like aches and pains and stuff that you can't say is from that. But so that was the injuries for him. For me, I had a subdural hematoma, which is a brain bleed. I had 4 broken ribs. I had nerve damage in my hand and back damage. And Cammie's injuries, she was pulled out of a 4x4 space, was completely out of socket. Every bone in her body was broken. Everything. What you see in Hollywood, times that by 5. And that's what my baby looked like. The clothes that I got back show enough, again, that it obviously was not great. And I'm not sure if I mentioned that her throat was also open, completely open, and her face was very much disfigured. The most things that I miss about my girl, honestly, is the purity, the pure love that she actually gave me. I never knew real, you get it from your family, but you feel like they have to love you. With your child, that's a piece of you and a piece of your soul that you're looking at on the outside of your body. And so I miss the purity of her soul and her innocence. I miss the way that she looked at the world. It made me slow down. It really makes you appreciate the small and tiny things, because she appreciates the small and tiny things. I miss her eyes looking at me, because I swear I know that her eye color, dude, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. I really cannot pinpoint what her eye color was. That girl was smart. You're taking care of this little thing that can't take care of itself, and then one day they're waking you up with a gallon of juice in one hand and their empty cup in the other hand, like, Mom, hello, fill my cup up. I miss her attitude. I'm everything about her. The healing phase, honestly, is still going on because it never actually really goes away. Your life just kind of grows around grief. And so regardless, no matter how long it's been or how many years, or the love that is still trapped in you for them is always going to be there. And that's grief. I actually never even found a real therapist. I actually found a grief counselor who was amazing. You know, she also lost a child many years ago, and so she was able to relate, and a lot of the things that I was going through, she was able to like recognize, and we kind of healed off of each other. And she's definitely still a very, very close friend, even though I don't go to grief therapy anymore. Currently, I have a petition on change.org to reopen her case, but every October I do 28 days of Cami leading up to the accident, and I've been trying to spread awareness that inattentive driving and distracted driving and aggressive driving is never okay, but when it someone, it's absolutely wanton endangerment and reckless homicide. And there should be no question. There should be no, and if they say they weren't paying attention, why aren't you checking phone records? Why weren't you paying attention on the highway in a very, very well populated city leaving during rush hour traffic? Why were you not paying attention? Cami cannot be some unnoticed statistic. She is right now. We weren't at fault, and the insurance company never said we were at fault. There was no question, even though Mr. Matthews wants to try and say that it was our fault, and he wants to try and still spread that lie. There's no denying. I'm sorry, the police report, everything, the insurance company even said you were at fault. Unfortunately, my Commonwealth chose not to. The detective on the case argued with me for 8 months about her last name. They had her last name as Camberly Davis. First of all, why would she not have her mother's last name? And also, why would she not have one of the names of one of the last names of the people in the car? There wasn't even a Davis there at all. To anyone right now, that if you're a mom, or even just a parent who has lost a child, know that you aren't alone. And it brings me comfort knowing that my baby has so many babies to play with up there while we wait to be with them. And know that you're not alone. And I am always open. I'm sure you can find me on something. If you reach out to anybody, and even if it has to be me, a stranger, I will listen no matter what. I will listen to your story. I will hear you, and I will be there with you if you want to cry, if you want to, because I get it. I understand, and I understand in a way that maybe your family won't, because I get it. Anything that you would say in all of the anger, bring it to me, because I promise I got anger too. So we can really help each other. And I'm really actually hoping one day to possibly try and be a therapist myself for grief and stuff like that. So, but until that happens, plans and stuff.